Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. Tax benefits of making a business accessible to workers and customers. But first, an attempt at a joke/rant. I apologize in advance. You know how it is these days in a post-COVID economy? When the economy gets going, the going gets stopped by tyrannical policymakers. I'm not a doctor, but when viruses mutate becoming less deadly, as seems to be common, considering a virus doesn't actually benefit from killing its host, might that actually be a good thing? The weaker, non-lethal variant of the virus providing immunity once caught and recovered from, similar to a vaccination, without causing long-term harm? It seems like this would be a normal path a population would take when recovering from a virus, the virus evolving to spread but not kill, the people being less negatively impacted by its presence. Maybe Omicron was not actually created and introduced into the population by the Decepticons to wipe out the population of the Earth, but rather by the Autobots. Those being the good guys, just in case you don't know Transformer terminology, in order to protect the population through immunization from the more deadly versions of the virus created by the Decepticons. Or, and this theory may be more plausible than the Transformer thing, the less deadly version of the virus may be Mother Nature's way of balancing things out after having an artificially virulent variant of the virus introduced into the population designed specifically to be more deadly than its counterpart found in nature, most likely created in a Chinese lab. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong about this. I'm certainly not claiming to be science incarnate over here. Only a crazy person would do that. As an accountant and economist, I often wonder if the pain, which does include death, of over-regulating is like overdoing chemotherapy to fight benign, non-cancerous cells. IRS Tax Tip 2021-183, December 9, 2021. Businesses that make structural adoptions or other accommodations for employees or customers with disabilities may be eligible for tax credits and deductions. Here's an overview of the tax incentives designed to encourage employers to hire qualified people with disabilities and to offset some of the costs of providing accommodations. Disabled Access Credit. The Disabled Access Credit is a non-refundable credit for small businesses that have expenses for providing access to persons with disabilities. An eligible small business is one that earned $1 million or less or had no more than 30 full-time employees in the previous year. The business can claim the credit each year they incur access expenditures. There's a link to the access expenditures here for more information about them. Barrier Removal Tax Deduction. The Architectural Barrier Removal Tax Deduction encourages businesses of any size to remove architectural and transportation barriers to the mobility of people with disabilities and the elderly. Businesses may claim a deduction of up to $15,000 a year for qualified expenses on items that normally must be capitalized. So basically, if you were to do an architectural change, you would think then you would have to capitalize the expenditures and then depreciate them over the years that they were benefiting from in accordance with the tax depreciation schedules. So you might be able then, under this rule, be able to expense more of them up front, being able to take the deduction earlier, which is typically a benefit. So businesses claim this deduction by listing it as a separate expense on their income tax return. Also businesses may use the disabled tax credit and the architectural/transportation tax deduction together in the same tax year if the expenses meet the requirements of both sections. To use both, the deduction is equal to the difference between the total expenses and the amount of the credit claimed. Work Opportunity Tax Credit, there's a link to that here. The Work Opportunity Tax Credit is available to employers for hiring individuals from certain target groups who have consistently faced significant barriers to employment. This includes people with disabilities and veterans. The maximum amount of the tax credit, there's a link to the tax credit here, for employees who worked 400 or more hours of service is $2,400 for 40% of up to $6,000 of the first year wages. For qualifying individuals, $9,600 or 40% of up to $24,000 of first year wages for certain qualified veterans. A 25% rate applies to wages for individuals who work at least 120 hours but less than 400 hours for the employer. More information can be found at the links below. We've got Form 8826 Disabled Access Credit, Form 5884 Work Opportunity Credit, Form 3800 General Business Credit, and instructions for Form 3800 General Business Credit. There's links to those items here. There'll be a link to this in the description.